time for Cigar Talk, the fastest growing cigar show in the nation. Whether you're a new cigar enthusiast or a cigar aficionado, we have something for everyone. Bringing you the best interviews, cigar reviews, and weekly giveaways. So grab yourself a cigar.
It's time to light 'em up.
Welcome back, Cigar Talk. I'm your host, Rob Jones. We got co-host Bryant Falconer in the studio. How you doing today, Bryant?
Hey, man, I'm doing good.
Awesome, man. So this is our anniversary episode.
Hey, one year.
Yes, I mean,
sir.
And it's really kind of cool because it's been a hell of a journey. I mean, if you go back to the beginning,
Ooh.
I mean, the audio was rough.
Ooh.
But the content was good because it was at the train car.
Uh-huh.
It was with Brent and Camilla and their story on how they got started. And so it was great because it was a relatively new cigar shop.
Mm-hmm.
So it was our beginning, and we got to talk about their beginning.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, man. It was allowing you to embark on your journey with some great content, like you said.
Yeah, I go back and I love that show, even though the audio is pretty bad. But
you live and you learn.
Yeah, exactly. And we've learned a lot.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Thanks to the
we've learned a lot.
Patreons.
Yeah, thank you, all the Patreons, for helping us upgrade our equipment.
Yes.
But we've also learned a lot about what it takes to put together a good show.
Tell the truth.
You know, when we first started, we kind of shot from the hip, and it just kind of went wherever we were. You know, who knows? We got lost a lot.
It sounded like we usually were in here in the shed.
You're right.
Start on one concept, and then we wind up somewhere way in left field, and you're like, okay, we got to come back.
And we still go on a few rabbit trails.
Yes, sir.
But so anyway, coming up this episode, we're going to be doing our regular pick six. We'll be doing my three and Bryant's three, and then we'll have the interview with CigarVixen. And we just want to say thank you to her for coming on the show. Found out some interesting information about her, and so you guys make sure you stick around after the break to hear that. And then when we come back from the interview, we'll be doing our weekly giveaway. We've got a great prize this week, so stick around and find out if you're the winner. And also, let's talk about McAuliffe right quick.
100.
Man, if you guys haven't had the opportunity, we had a full McAuliffe episode, and it was centered around Pred-X. And so if you don't know what the FDA is doing in May of 2020 with the cigar manufacturers and the predicates that are required, you're definitely going to want to check that episode out. And also, I got to interview Al McAuliffe, Dan Thompson, Amanda McAuliffe, and then their specialist on marketing, Sam. What's Sam's last name?
Oh, you got me. I just know you talked to the Mount Rushmore of McAuliffe.
Yeah, I know, right? Got to talk to the whole family. The only one we were missing is Steve, and I'm going to try to hook up with him probably in late January or February.
Okay.
So anyway, we want to say thank you to the McAuliffe family for sponsoring our show. We're big fans of their cigars. As you know, I'm smoking one. What are you smoking?
Hey, man, I'm smoking a Ligera right now.
Yeah, you're smoking that big. What is that? Is that a 6 or a 7?
6.
I think it was. I don't know. I think that was like a 7-inch. It was big.
It was huge, and I've been smoking an hour, and I still got an hour left.
Yeah, I mean that's like a 6. I want to say that's a 7x60. And you're only barely halfway done. Yeah. You should got a good hour left on that.
Tell the truth.
So anyway, we want to say thank you to the McAuliffe for sponsoring us. They make great cigars. They have a great team. It was a pleasure visiting with that whole team last week. So if you haven't heard episode 56, go by and check that out.
Yes, sir.
Also, while we're talking about different people that we always want to remind people about, let's talk about Cigar Rights for America.
100%.
This is the time that you need to join if you're not already a member.
Yeah, you alluded to it in the beginning. May 2020, there are things that are going to be put in place, and your rights are under attack.
Yes, absolutely. And first of all, I'm not sure if you're even aware of this. The FDA regulation was actually scheduled for 21. And they moved it up a year. So, I mean, that shows you right there that with one switch right of the pen, it's bam.
It's the power of the pen.
Yeah.
This is serious, man. This is really serious.
It really is. So, I mean, if I just don't know how to tell people that I couldn't be more sincere when I say you need to join Cigar Rights of America, because without them, I mean, unless you're, like I've said, if you smoke one cigar a month, one cigar every 3 months, I get it. It's not your culture. It's not your lifestyle.
Yeah.
But if this is the community that you're a part of, stand up, take a part in the fight against them taking away our rights.
Talk to me. I went to the VA and I talked to one of the counselors and I told her that I go to a cigar shop and it's my wind down time. And you know what she told me?
What?
Keep going.
Nice.
Keep going. She said, you need that. That's how important this thing is to me.
Absolutely.
To me.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. And then also, we want to talk about Cigars for Warriors for a minute. That
Yes,
is
sir.
our go-to charity.
yes, sir.
Those guys are an incredible charity. And the thing about it is, those guys don't take a dime.
Mm-mm.
They all volunteer. And we made the announcement 2 weeks ago that Hiram Solomon was pairing up with Cigars for Warriors. They put up a special website that offers you the opportunity to buy boxes at below wholesale price
Yes.
that go straight to Cigars for Warriors.
Yes.
So hats off to the business and the charity for working something out together to take care of our men and women of the forces.
It's coming together to look out for those that take care of you. And
Yeah.
that's what it's about.
Absolutely.
And the beauty of it is dealing with a stick. It's a cigar that brought them together. Come on, man.
Well, it's just a great organization.
Oh, yes.
Hats off to Hiram Solomon for partnering up with them to do
Most
that.
definitely.
And we just want to say thank you to both of them. So let's get to the pick six this week.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
And I don't think we've picked any of the same cigars this week.
No, we didn't.
Because I know I went way around from what you did. Don't be looking over there at the board.
No,
Don't
I'm
be
coughing.
looking. Okay.
I had to cough. My number one this week was a gift, the Ezra Zion Ugly Christmas Sweater 2019. This,
Wow, I never even heard of that.
bruh, I put it up on my Instagram. This was a roller coaster ride. When I say they packed this stick with every spice, every taste, you have an opportunity to go on a ride and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want it to be over. I got hit with the cinnamon immediately. Then nutmeg, peppers, chocolates, and it just kept going. Leather, cedar. I was like, man, the entire stick was flavorful throughout. And every retro hill, I hit that cinnamon again. I was like, oh my God, here it is, here
And
it
what's
is.
the name of that stick?
Ezra Zion Ugly Christmas Sweater for 2019.
Where'd you get that?
You know I got it from Shuby.
Who?
Shuby. He comes up there.
Shuby?
Yeah, Matthew.
Shooby-Doo?
Nah, not Shuby. He's on Instagram also. Abilene Tech. He goes around to the restaurants.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah.
talking about the Abilene Explorer?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was talking to him earlier this week, and yeah, so I've met those guys from Ezra, and they make some good quality sticks. They really do.
Last week, you remember I was talking about the pecan pie that I got from him and I tried.
Where was that from?
Ezra Zion.
I did not know that.
Yes.
So you know that's a Texas company.
Yes, he
Okay.
told me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, I have to order some.
I don't know exactly where they're located, but they're somewhere between Wichita Falls and Fort Worth.
I am going to
We
talk.
need to go up there.
You got to.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna talk to Jay too. We need these in the leaf. I'm telling you, man. This is a enjoyable roller coaster
Yeah,
ride, man.
I was real impressed. I got to meet those guys, I think, like in March.
okay.
And we actually was in Fort Worth together, and I got to hang out with the two owners, and they gave me a few sticks, and I was blown away. And I haven't seen them in shops anywhere, but I'm always looking because it is a good stick.
It is. Now you will be upset about the label
Why?
because it's an ugly
Is it
sweater
huge?
and it covers the entire
No.
stick.
No. See, I can find the humor in that. You know what I mean? I can definitely find the humor in that.
Bruh, it is, and it's got Mario and Luigi on the front
Oh,
of
see,
it, man.
I can dig that. I just don't like the ones like these BG Myers I got.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's like they're shrouded in the Pope's robe.
You can understand the double entendre with that
Yes.
ugly sweater.
So,
Okay. My number 2 was the Alec Bradley Magic Toast. I was so thankful to get another one of these, man.
That's a good stick.
It is, man.
I think Alec Bradley has really come up with some home runs this year. That Gatekeeper, the Magic Toast,
yes.
and then we'll talk about another cigar in a minute that I really love of theirs.
yeah.
But so what's number 3?
Number 3 was the Punch Diablo again.
Okay.
Dark
I
cigar.
haven't had one of those in a while.
Right.
And I'll tell you what I did this week.
Okay.
I intentionally went through the humidor at the Leaf and picked out, every time I went in there, 3 sticks I've never smoked.
That you never smoked. Okay.
Yep,
That's
yep.
what I did was I went back and I went, I usually go in and I walk straight to Hiram Solomon, then leave Hiram Solomon, walk right over to McAuliffe. This time I didn't. I went the other way.
Would you get lost?
Yeah. Purposely.
Oh, okay.
Purposely. One of those where I'm gonna go get lost on my own, and then I'm gonna find these Jews, and that's where I picked up that Alec Bradley and that punch again. I was like, yeah, this is what I needed.
Well, this is not on my top 3, but some of the cigars that I picked this week that I have never smoked before, one of them was the Nub Connecticut.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it is a very light Connecticut. And I'll tell you what, I was not a big fan of it. It was not a bad smoke. The construction was really good, which, Nub is known for really good construction.
Yes.
And there's a few Nubs that I like. I'm not a big fan of that short, stubby cigar, but from time to time, I do enjoy them.
Okay.
But that Connecticut was real light, and it had a hay flavor, and I'm telling you, by halfway through the cigar, my mouth was so dry that I felt like I was in the Mojave Desert and I hadn't had a drink for days. And so that was not enjoyable for me. I know that some people like that dry cigar. It was not enjoyable for me. And so I was talking to Scott, and he said try the Nub Habano, which is that same torpedo shape.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try one of those next week. And then there was a couple other cigars that I smoked that I hadn't had before, and I enjoyed them. But one of the ones, well, I'll go ahead and tell you, was on my pick 6 this week. My number 1 was the Alec Bradley 2019 Rare and Fine, or Fine and Rare. I don't remember which.
That one.
Dude, that is a great smoke. And here's the thing. It's a $22 stick. I bought a second one. I smoked the first one, and then the next day I went back and bought another one. So that tells you where it ranked up on my radar.
Bro, I walked in here, it was 60 degrees. I'm going to walk out, and it's going to be snowing. You bought two $22 sticks?
I did, because Jay only had one box, and they only come in a box of 10.
Okay.
And I was like, I want to get one before they're gone.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know how many he has left.
I might have to go up there and snatch one and try this out.
I'll tell you what, it had a very unique flavor profile. It was like caramel, leather, toffee, salty. It reminded me of a special profile that doesn't taste like anything else, kind of like the Padron 1926.
That's what you're looking for.
Yeah,
that difference.
Yeah,
that difference.
And it blew me away. I was super excited after I smoked the first one. Now, I will say this. I smoked the second one, and it was not as good. But not the flavor profile, but the construction.
Okay.
About an inch in, there was a porpoise hole about an inch from the burn line.
Like I said, a porpoise hole.
Dude, it looked like a porpoise hole because it was just puffing out smoke rings. And I was like, come on. You've had that happen before.
Yes, I
where
have.
you get like a burn about that high up.
Yeah.
And, so once the whole burn caught up to that, it was fine. But when you pay $22 for a stick,
you don't want a porpoise hole.
Come on, man. Yeah. So anyway, that was my number 1 out of the 3 I smoked this week. And then number 2, I had a Padron 6000 Maduro.
You know who else had one?
Who?
Junior.
Oh, because Ed bought it for me.
Yep.
Yeah, he gave me one and Ed Junior one.
Yeah.
And that was a great smoke. I'm always a big fan of the Padron 6000. And, they have the Padron Naturals. Of the 6000 and the Torpedo, and I almost bought one of those because I've never had one, and I went back and got the Maduro. I was like, because I'm on this trying new cigars.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? That's an old favorite, so I'm not going to chance it.
You know what you're getting with that one.
Right. And then a new cigar that I tried this week was the Cane Connecticut.
Hold up. I haven't heard about that one.
Okay. It's a good smoke.
We got it up there?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I've been on that Cane Daytona kick. Great coffee stick.
Yep.
So I wanted to try the Connecticut. Didn't let me down.
Okay.
It was good smoke.
Okay.
It's light with a little bit of spice. good, solid construction all the way through, and I was thoroughly impressed.
I got 2 tries.
Yeah,
for
you
next
definitely
week.
got to try that. Now, we're gonna have to find out where I can get one of those sweater cigars.
Yeah, I think he has some more coming in. I'm trying to find out where he's getting them from, but he said,
well, I think he said he's going up there.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, coming up next, we've got CigarVixen on the interview. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Thanks for hanging through the break, guys. I have a very special guest with us. We have CigarVixen. How are you doing today, Delicia?
I'm great. How are you?
We're doing fantastic, and I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I know you're super busy. We've been big fans of what you've been doing for a long time, so we just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me on and for thinking of me. Appreciate that.
Oh, well, you're most welcome, and this is a big episode. This is our 1-year anniversary, and we've definitely had a big growth this year, and we're looking forward to next year. But I want to say we've been a big fan of yours, and one of the things that I love about what you bring to the industry is really first-rate class and a great knowledge of the cigar industry. And we love what you do with your top 5 cigar list, the tours that you've been on. I just want to say that we're big fans because everything that you do is 100% class.
Thank you for that. First of all, congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Wish you many years of continued success, and thank you for the tremendous compliment. You know, that always means quite a bit. You know, I do appreciate everybody that chimes in and listens and comments and participates. I mean, it's a great industry, as you well know, and it's unlike anything else out there.
Yeah,
I really enjoy it.
So let me ask you this: how long ago did you start smoking cigars?
Let's see. Without completely dating myself, I can say I started smoking right about 18 or so, I believe. Was like first time I had a cigar with family, actually. So it's been more than a few years.
So was it your father or mother who got you to smoke a cigar?
Actually, my oldest brother worked in a cigar lounge when I was in high school. So he's about 9 years older than me, and he worked at a really cool lounge down in downtown San Diego. So every chance I'd get, I'd try and sneak in there real quick and I loved the aromas that came out of the lounge. And you know, at the time he was quite the expert. And aside from him, my extended family, I have a huge family. So my cousins and uncles and even a couple aunts smoked cigars, or continue to smoke actually, but at that time they smoked. And so any family gathering, there was always, you know, plenty of spirits and always cigars floating around. So that was actually my first time I smoked, was at a cousin's birthday. And it was with a big group of them. Got sicker than a dog, but, you know, it was an experience.
Right. So let me ask you this, and I'm sure you probably don't remember, but just in case you do you remember what your first cigar was?
You know, I do, actually. It was a Hampton Court Macanudo, and it was, the reason I know that is my uncle / godfather, I mean, that's what he liked to smoke. And so they were all outside. This was after a whole day of, you know, celebrating my cousin's 21st birthday and golf tournament, not tournament, but playing golf and kind of just hanging out. So after all the afternoon activities, the evening came, and it was like they were outside drinking scotch, and they were like, hey, you know, come out and have a cigar with us. So I'm like, okay, sure. And I didn't know what I was doing. It had been a long day. So
Sure.
I smoked that, and I got sick afterwards, and you know, they thought it was hilarious. They're like, oh, see, you know, you're not that tough after all. But nonetheless, that actually piqued my interest, because I'm like, there's no way I can be shown up. I'm very competitive, you can't tell, especially with my family. So that kind of sparked some jokes for a while. And now, I mean, they think it's funny. They're like, remember the first time you smoked? Every time I get together with them, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of hang that over your head.
I've redeemed myself, I think, a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
So actually, the first cigar that I had that made me love cigars was a Padron. So that was the one that really got me.
Which
to
one?
like, oh, okay, it was a 64 anniversary Maduro.
Oh, very nice.
And it was a little Principe. And that one was like, oh, wow, so this is what it's all about. Okay.
Yeah.
That really got me to fall in love with cigars.
Yeah, it's great when the light comes on. You're like, wow, I get it now.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
How long have you been known as CigarVixen?
Well, I launched the site and started doing the YouTube videos about, it's been 7.5 years ago, July of 2012.
And you've been very successful, and I think a lot of that comes from, in my opinion, because you've done it so classy and you've done your homework. You're not just talking about stuff that you don't know about. You're very educated in the cigar industry, and I think,
Thank you.
oh, you're welcome. And I think that's one of the reasons that people are drawn to what you do. I mean, really, you're like a pioneer. I mean, there's so many followers to come after you, and some of them have tried to walk in your footsteps and do it very similar, and then you also have some that go a completely different way. And I mean, you know, they do what they do, and I'm not going to knock them because I'm not tearing people down, but I think a lot of people respect you because of the education that you've given yourself by doing the work and actually being a part of the community.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, at that time when I first started doing it, I didn't know, I didn't know what I was really doing other than I just enjoyed smoking cigars, and I thought it'd be fun to talk about it with people. It's kind of evolved. I don't invite anyone to watch the very early videos because they're terrible, but, you know, it has been quite the evolution of, for starters, I mean, I had no equipment. I mean, I was filming with an iPhone. The audio was terrible. The lighting was terrible. I still have, you know, it's been a progression of getting equipment slowly over the years to where it's like now I have a pretty good setup. It still needs, you know, there's always room for growth in that area, but just as far as the education side of it, man, I've been very blessed with, again, it's just a great industry. So at the time, I really hit the ground running. I mean, I was out the first 4 to 5 years of doing CigarVixen. I was just out there, you know, kind of like, you know, hitting the pavement, if you will, just going to different lounges, talking to as many people in the industry as I could. And I was fortunate enough to visit and be invited to lots of different factories and farm tours. And that's really where the passion itself just grew, because when you get to experience that side of things and you get to visit and see, you know, that side of the industry, it's such an eye-opener, and it really just developed a whole new level of appreciation and love for cigars, because it's not just the fabulous end result that we all love, it's the passion behind it, the people that are putting, you know, their time, and just it's so amazing. And if I could give anyone any type of advice, it would be just get out to see a factory or a farm or both, preferably, because it just changes your whole perspective of the industry. It's really, really nice.
Well, let me ask you this. I know you've been to several factories. Is there a particular country or origin that you would recommend a first-timer to go?
I'm partial to Nicaragua. I love Nicaragua for a number of reasons. Probably more so just because the people themselves, from my own personal experience, were so warm and welcoming at all the different factories that I've been to. It was kind of the same feel, you know, like even though you go to different factories, you go to different places, there's a level of competition, I guess you can say, you know, amongst certain manufacturers or whatnot, but there's also this huge family. I mean, they're just so happy that you're there, and especially, again, being blessed with like these invitations, I think people are even more happy, I guess you could say, or welcoming to have somebody that is there with some sort of a media presence, or even just filming, even if a consumer with their iPhone, it's like they just like the exposure. It's like they want to tell their story. They want to show kind of what they're doing, and that's kind of been the experience I've had. Although I do love the Dominican Republic as well. Cuba was great. It was a wonderful experience. I've been there a couple times. However, it's a different feel as far as visiting the factories and even the farms. It's a totally different, it's a little more selective as far as what you're shown. They're just not as open to you seeing everything. Whereas if you go to Nicaragua, you go to the Dominican Republic, they're open doors. Look at anything you want. You know, please come, you know, touch the tobacco, smell it. You want to, you know, smoke some of it, great, let's talk. I mean, it's very open door, and you just feel very welcomed, and that's the impression that I had personally anyways.
Well, I think that's great advice, because that, I mean, depending on what you're looking for on your first trip, I've heard that going to the Dominican Republic, a little more Americanized as far as amenities and things like that. But if you want to get your hands dirty, so to speak, then Nicaragua is the place to go. And a friend of mine went down there a few months ago, and he was just saying that it was like going down there to an extension of your family, because they're that welcoming.
Absolutely. And the food. I mean, I'm I'm a foodie, so I love the food in Nicaragua. It's incredible. But yeah, the other thing I would say, if you're a first timer and you've never gone, or even if you've been before, great way to experience it is through the festivals. I'm a big advocate for the cigar festivals. That is an incredible time. You're able to see the best of the best. Everybody's been preparing for these festivals. So there's the Nicaraguan festival, the Puro Sabor, which is every January, and then they have the Pro Cigar every February. Both of them are incredible. Pro Cigar is a bit bigger. So if you're somebody that doesn't mind larger crowds, and I mean, they really go all out. I'm talking, black tie gala at the end of the festival, extravagant dinners every night. Oh, it's incredible. Highly recommended. And the nice thing is you can kind of customize your tours during the festival. So you can pick and choose, every day kind of which factories and farms you'd like to visit. They really do a great job in organizing both festivals, and the transportation is provided. So you basically just get there, you get your airfare, you show up, and then everything is taken care of for you. Oh, wow. And that's a great way if you're somebody that's kind of hesitant to making the journey maybe to one of these other countries, if you're not sure, or if you're going alone, whatever it is, that's a great way to experience it, because again, you get to see these different factories, these different farms, and they're ready for you. I mean, they've been preparing for this, so they're really, it's like, what do they call it? When it's like dropping in for a visit with family, or they've invited you for a party. I mean, you're really, it's such a great time. I can't say enough kind things about the festivals. They're just great. So highly recommended.
Let me ask you this, Delicia. If someone wanted to go to the festival, how do they find out about how to actually go down there during that time?
So you can jump on Puro Sabor. I think it's either .org or .com, or if you just Google Puro Sabor Nicaraguan Cigar Festival, you can find that information. It'll give you their full itinerary. It'll walk you through how to book. You can do a la carte options, I believe, if you just want to attend like a couple of the events, or you can do the full package.
Oh wow!
Or you can go to Pro Cigar, and I believe that one is .org as well. But if you just type in Pro Cigar Festival, it'll pop up. And that one again is every February. If you're curious what they look like, I do have some videos in the past years that I've gone that I kind of give like little tours of what's going on at the festival, which factories, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. If you just want to get a feel for like what it looks like, or how should I dress, or what should I pack, that kind of thing, because you're basically doing daytime. You're doing factory tours, or sometimes farm tours, depending on what you pick. And then every night there's a dinner, and the Nicaraguan ones are a little bit more casual, but they're still, you still want to pack, your Sunday best, I guess you could say,
right,
for the dinners. And I mean, the amount of food, the amount of cigars, the amount of entertainment, live music, it's an incredible experience. I love it.
Sounds
Both
like
of them
a dream.
are great. I tell you what, it's some of the best times that I've had. And the Dominican festival it's a little dressier. They go a little bit fancier on the evening stuff. But the nice thing with that one, they've been doing it longer, so they really have ironed out any little kinks in scheduling and all of that stuff. So if you're somebody, for example, who, let's say a married couple wanted to go, and maybe the spouse doesn't smoke cigars necessarily, but she doesn't mind it. There's things to do. You could do a beach day. There's other options that aren't necessarily, if you didn't want to do the factory tours, for example, you could just kind of hang out at the hotel, or you could opt out of that. You could just do the dinners. I mean, there's a lot of different options where you can customize, how you want your trip to go, but it's a great time.
It sounds like
it.
Like
I said, they provide all the transportation for you once you're there, so it's nice.
You're selecting from just cigars upon cigars, is what I heard from a friend of mine that went down to Honduras, and that sounds like just heaven to me.
Oh yeah, and you're getting boxes of cigars every day. I mean, they really, it's very special. I love it.
So let me shift gears here. So, like, I understand you go to a lot of the cigar festivals as well?
Yes, I do. I've been to most of them, I want to say. I know there's a few newer ones that pop in and out, but most of the regular, staple ones I've gone to a few times. And yeah, it's great to see. It's great to experience the different.
I wanted to ask you personally, have you been to the Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest?
I have.
How was that?
Actually, not to pick favorites, but that one is high on my list. I love that one. not to put down any of the other ones because they all are special, but that one to me is the most value for your money, for one, because I'm a practical person. You know, our hobby of smoking cigars gets expensive. Let's be real.
Yes.
So when you have all these different things going on, you really want to find not just the most value for your buck, but the time, because a lot of times, if you, for example, if you don't live in Colorado, you're making the journey, you're getting on an airplane or you're driving far to get out there for this festival, you want to maximize and experience as much of it as possible. You don't want to spend all day long in line. You don't want to, have it cut short or anything like that. So that's my only downside to some of the ones, let's say like the Vegas events. It's a little bit, it's more expensive and you're spending a lot of the time in line and just not really getting to experience
well, for me, I think the Rocky Mountain would be great just because I love being in the mountains, and if I can smoke cigars in the mountains, that sounds like paradise for me.
It's gorgeous, and what I like about that one is they give you your bag. So you get your ticket. They have just some different ticket options. You get a full bag upon arrival that has all those cigars in it already, versus some of the other events where you have a ticket book and you have to go around and kind of trick or treat, and you go to each booth and you get your cigars that way, which again takes up a lot of time. This one, they give you all the cigars. However, they still have the table set up so you can still go around and talk to your favorite manufacturer, buy more cigars if you want, boxes, things like that. They have them discounted for the festival. But you spend a lot of time just smoking, and then they have a lot of local craft brews that are out there, barbecue, live music. I mean, it's a great time. And a lot of people, if you're into golf, I mean, it's at the Omni Interlochen, so they have the golf course there. So like if you get up early in the morning and you want to do a round of golf first, you can do that, or the next day or whatever it is. But it's a great event. I love that one.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm really going to try to go to this year. And I don't do this full time, so I get to go on occasion. So that's the one I want to go to. And I'm in Texas, so if I can go to Colorado in the month of August and get out of the heat here.
You'll love it. You will love it.
Yeah, so that's definitely where I'm going to try to go this year. So let me ask you this. You've seen the progression in the industry for women. How has that been part of your challenge or obstacles? I mean, I know you've been in it long enough to where when you first got into it, it was a male-dominated industry, and now we're seeing a change in that direction. I mean, have you seen a big difference from when you started to say now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Instagram, of course, has been a huge influencer in a mostly positive way. I would say it's an opportunity for a lot more women to come forward, and obviously, still being a predominantly male-dominated industry, who doesn't want to see a beautiful woman smoking a cigar, post some pictures about it, take it a step further, and when that woman can talk a little bit about the cigar, it makes it even better. And there's a handful of other women smokers that are legitimate smokers. They're doing also something that they love, and they're telling their journey. And I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of them, and they're good friends of mine. I consider us a group of sisters of belief. So it's nice to see it. I mean, of course, there's a few, and again, I'm not going to say anything bad about them, but there's a few that are not maybe doing that for that reason. But that's everybody does their own thing, and that's fine. But yeah, for the most part, it's great to see it. You'll notice it as well as you go to more cigar events. There's a lot more women that are not just attending, but smoking. And it's like, to them, it's no big deal. They're like, hey, I've been smoking for years, no biggie to me. While there's still a handful of new ones, and that's great to see, those new smokers feeling more comfortable going into some of these places, and a lot more, even cigar lounges, I would say, that are kind of catering and switching gears a little bit to not being such a boys club, to saying, hey, no, we're welcome to everybody, and we're going to make our environment, look that way, in other words. So that's great to see as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been great.
Let me ask you this. Have you done your top 5 cigars for this year?
I'm working on it actually this week. I've narrowed it down, and I'm getting ready to. I always do my top 5 released on New Year's Eve for the past 5 years or so, and it's a challenge. I mean, there's a lot of good cigars out there.
It's tough.
It's like it's a love-hate thing I have. It's like, man, I kind of wish I would have done a top 10 originally, but I kind of try to keep that same format. So it's difficult to narrow it down to the 5. Man, there's so many good cigars.
Yeah, and I mean, there's only I always say there's so little time and so many cigars. And so it's really hard to narrow down a top 5. I do a top 10. My co-host does a top 10, and we put out a top 20. Right. But even a top 10 is tough because there's so many good cigars you want in that list, and you're like, there's just not room for all of them.
I know. It's so difficult. It really is.
When you do a review on a cigar, what's your process?
So I normally, most of the time the cigars are sent out, usually, and there's usually more than one. So I like to try to smoke it at least, I mean, if I have let's say a 5-pack, I'll smoke 3 and then I'll do a review, after that. But worst case is I'll at least get 3 of the cigars and try and smoke the first 2 just for the sake of the draw and to see how it smokes. And then I make notes along the way, so I try and match up my first and second, third, all the way through, so that way when I do the actual review, it's a little smoother. But really, I'm just looking for the construction. Flavor is always subjective. My palate, I have a lot of people that chime in and say they have a similar palate, so that I feel confident in kind of expressing, the notes that I feel are good notes to help that cigar along. But really, I'm just looking at the way it's made. How does it smoke? What's the draw like? What's the burn line? And the price point. The price point it does have a factor in there when there's some that are really, really high priced, and they maybe they shouldn't be that, priced that high. In other words, with how they're, and then there's some that the opposite is true. Some of them are like, man, did they price this right? This should be a little bit more. This is a great stick.
Yeah, those are the ones I really love.
Oh, those are the ones I try not to draw too much attention to the fact. Like, don't change the price on that.
Right. Well, and that's one of the things that I did. We did a top 10 back in June for the first half of the year, and the price point plays a major part of our selection because we want to do a list that's for your everyday working guy, everyday working woman. Oh, yeah. And so it plays a big part. And there's cigars that are in our list that are anywhere from like $5.50 all the way up to about $20. But I'm with you. I completely agree that the price point needs to be part of the evaluation.
It'd be nice. I mean, you can separate those lists and do a top 5 most expensive and things like that, because there's plenty of those. But
absolutely,
again, some of them are worth it. Some of them are like, okay, I don't mind paying that for this cigar.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but
if you're somebody that's never smoked it, or you're not as familiar, it can be nerve wracking to walk into a humidor and you're like, man, what's going on with this? Difference in the pricing, and what am I going to do? It can be overwhelming, I can imagine.
Yeah, and I always say that when you're looking at the cigars that are $20 to $30 to $40, those cigars usually are not for your beginner smokers because they're not going to enjoy the complexity as much as someone who's experienced. Because I know the first time I smoked a Padron 1926, when I got done smoking it, I was like, it was all right. And then as I developed as a cigar smoker, now that's one of my favorite cigars that I smoke on special occasions.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. It's kind of like the same. I make a lot of jokes in my videos about gifting cigars. You have the different categories of friends. I have them, myself, that the ones that come and they're very anxious to get a cigar and they don't smoke all of it, or they won't,
right.
Kind of like, And those are the ones like, you have a special drawer in your humidor for those friends.
Right.
Those are the value sticks, if you will, and then you have the others that they'll appreciate it. I have my oldest brother. It's funny now, we joke he's the one who started out working in a cigar lounge way back when. He doesn't work in the industry anymore, but now he jokes, he's like, man, I never thought my little sister would know more about cigars than I do. And he's somebody that, I mean, every time I send him sticks, he'll send me pictures. I mean, he'll smoke them down to the point where it's like burning his fingers. He doesn't waste any of it. And he's somebody that it's like, man, any of those really expensive cigars, I'll definitely send to him. And, he'll appreciate it. He'll get all the nuances, and he certainly won't leave a third of it sitting in an ashtray somewhere, because that's
I know. I've had friends that have taken.
That's the only bad thing about going to the festivals and the different cigar things. You see the amount of cigars that are wasted, and it's like, oh my goodness.
Oh, I can't even.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You jumped into social media when it was really first taken off as far as the cigar industry is concerned. And you've really led a leadership role in the way social media is done in the cigar industry. What do you see as far as what could be changing or new things to come in the social media realm as far as the cigar industry? I mean, do you see any new trends? Do you see any new opportunities? I mean, there's a lot of people out there trying to figure out what's the next big thing. And I know, no one knows what it's going to be until it gets here, but you were instrumental as far as starting like the Instagram following and stuff like that. So do you have any ideas on what you think is going to be the next wave of social media?
Thank you for saying that. To be honest, in the beginning, I really didn't. I didn't plan it. I just kind of started doing things, and I've learned and kind of tweaked and catered my post, along the way. But I would say, as far as trends, I mean, there's always the scare that goes on out there that says, they're going to shut down any cigar posts. I know there's been a few people that have talked about having their account suspended and things like that. But I think it's really the type of content that you're putting out there. I will say there's a few on Instagram in particular that kind of play with that line of going overboard as far as the content, and then the fact that they're bringing the cigars into that makes me a little nervous, just because that's kind of one of those red flags of like, hey, we want to post the pictures and we want to keep the content interesting and get the followers and get the eyes on there, but we don't want to attract negative types of things. So that's kind of like where the only thing I would say about trying to maybe think a little bit and not focus so much on let me grab the likes and all that. Let's put good content up on there to make sure that we can all continue to keep posting content. And it's a great tool for networking. I mean, it really has taken the place of getting together for these little smaller networking groups where you used to go in person. And I mean, that still happens, but it's just a chance to, I mean, I have conversations all the time with people in different countries that chime in and they'll ask a question, or they'll say, hey, I ordered your calendar, or, what's the cigar lounge here? I'm getting ready to go to London, or whatever. And it's like, under no other circumstance could you do that. So that part I think is great. That's really what I think it's about. And I just think we have to be a little more selective as far as the type of content that we're posting, especially when it comes to cigars. We already have the eyes, looking at us. So it's kind of one of those things.
I agree. I think that is a concern that most people should take into consideration before they post is, does this help or hurt the industry as a whole? Right.
Definitely a subject of question.
Absolutely. So, speaking of your calendar, you have a new calendar coming out for 2020. Is that correct?
I do. I launched it in October this year. So it's the 2020 CigarVixen calendar, and it's a lot of fun. It's always interesting getting together and shooting, these calendars. And again, I'm very blessed to have each month sponsored by a different cigar company. So it kind of sheds some spotlight on that particular cigar. And I like to give a little breakdown as to what cigar it is I'm smoking and tell a little bit about the company, and so people know where to find it, kind of a thing. So it's fun. I have Nika in there, my little puppy. She made a cameo appearance in 1 month. So
well, that's all. Well, speaking of family, does your husband smoke cigars?
Yes, he does. We have separate humidors though. Yeah, we do have separate humidors, but no, he's definitely a cigar smoker. I think it would be weird if he wasn't,
Yeah, well, definitely. But so I was going to ask, do you catch him getting into your humidor when you're not looking?
Yeah, every so often I'll go to look for a cigar, and it's like, hey, do you know what happened to, this particular stick? And it's like, well, I didn't think you were going to smoke it. It's been in there a while. It's like, okay. That's called aging.
Right.
No, but it's funny. I have special drawers, and he knows, like, don't get into those.
Nice.
Those are my special ones. Well, it's funny because I started, my favorite, cigar size to smoke is a Lancero. And it's funny how over the past couple of years, he's like, oh, I really like the Lanceros now. I'm like, yeah, I bet you do, but those are not.
Those are yours.
Those are mine.
Right. Well,
you go back to the Robusto. That's what you always liked before.
I'm definitely right there with you. I like the Corona Extra that's a 6x46.
Yes.
Any of those sizes, that's really what I love right now. So I heard a rumor also that you were like, I don't want to offend you, but a coffee snob.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's funny. It's as much as I love cigars, coffee is actually the real, I don't want to say bigger passion, but I mean, I couldn't survive without my coffee. So
I'm right there with you.
oh my gosh. And it's funny. I mean, I always just assumed that it was the natural pairing with a cigar because I always did that. And I would see people, do that as well. Like you have your morning cup of coffee, you have a cigar, afternoon, espresso or something, and you have a cigar with it. It just to me, it's a no-brainer type of pairing. I mean, it just goes so well together. And I'll have to admit that journey also took some evolving because in the beginning stages, when I was younger and I drank coffee, I didn't pay attention to it. I mean, now that I look back, it's like, man, how did I drink some of that stuff?
Well, see, what's funny is I never drank coffee until after I started smoking cigars. And once I started pairing cigars with coffee, I fell in love with coffee.
Yes.
And now,
it changes your life.
it does. I mean, it's like first thing in the morning, I got my coffee.
Yes.
And I am the guy that like grinds his own coffee, and my coffee maker makes it at 205 degrees. And so I'm very particular. And the funny thing is, I started drinking coffee at my local cigar shop, and they just happen to have amazing coffee. So I never drank bad coffee. So the first time I went by a convenience store because I was wanting some coffee, I was like, holy crap, how does anybody drink that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that's the thing that's so funny. It's like, man, I tell you how they drink it. I mean, most people, they mask the coffee with so much sugar and cream that you're not tasting the coffee anymore. It's just a warmed up caffeine, for function, and that's all right. But it's kind of like anything. It's like once you have a really good cigar, it's hard to go back to if you were somebody that was just smoking like, I don't know, I'm not even going to say brand names, but
right.
the not premium sticks that were out there, that maybe people smoked in their younger days. But same thing with coffee. It's like once you have good coffee, you just it ruins your day to have a bad coffee. It really does. And I'm glad to hear that you're particular with your grind and your water temperature. I can't tell you. I mean, it makes such a big difference. The type of grind, the way you're brewing it, and the water temperature is huge. So to answer your original question, yes, I am a bit of a coffee snob to the point where I actually I am selling coffee now. I developed a roast, 3 different ones actually that I liked. It took me a while. It was definitely a passion project that I've been secretly working on for the last couple of years.
Oh, nice.
So I actually launched the website. I think it was right around the same time as the calendar. So like September or October of this year, I launched it's tasascoffeebydelicia.com, and it's very simple. I mean, there's only 3 different offerings as of now. I have one size, and I only offer whole beans.
Oh,
it's
nice.
a specialty coffee. Yeah, just because, I mean, I had some questions like, are you going to get this in a Keurig? And it's like, no, I'm not.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you could certainly get the little pre-done Keurig cups and grind it and put it in there, and that would be fine. But,
it's
definitely
work for me.
It's a coffee for people who love coffee. I mean, that is really what it is. So
do you have
very selective
Sumatra?
with. You know what? Not yet. I do have a Sumatra in the works. I haven't found the right roast. I've been playing with that one, but I have a Guatemalan. I have a Yirgacheffe from Ethiopia, and then I have a blend, an espresso blend that's Latin American. It's a perfect one for espresso. I actually just recently invested in a nice espresso maker. I was doing the old school espresso for so long in the little mocha pot, which I still like it, but I figured it was time to step up and get an actual espresso maker.
Very nice. I love Guatemalan coffee, so I'm going to have to make an order for sure.
You know what? Yeah, absolutely. Let me know your address. I'd be happy to send you one. Try it out. Especially knowing that you're going to properly brew that thing for sure.
Oh yes. So let me ask you this.
Yeah,
if the
it's
listeners want to order some of your coffee, how would they find your website? Where do you offer the coffee at?
So they could jump onto, it's Tasas Coffee by Delicia, and that's Tazas. So Tasa is like Spanish for coffee cup.
Okay.
Coffee by Delicia, and they can actually find the calendar on there. I added it this year to that site so that you could just do kind of like one-stop shopping, because you can also get the calendar on CigarVixen.com, but the coffee is solely on Tasas by Delicia.
Okay.
So, so they could jump on there. It's freshly roasted, so it takes a couple days to get the order sometimes, but it's because it's not sitting in a warehouse anywhere. It's fresh. I'm really big about it.
We don't want it sitting in a warehouse forever. We want it freshly roasted.
Yeah. I can't tell you. It's like it's funny because my parents are both, coffee drinkers, and I had to explain to them, like, no, guys, you're getting like the Folgers from Costco, and it's like, hey, no offense, but come on, like you're killing me here.
Oh,
like,
I
can't
know.
drink your coffee. So I like, and every time I go to my dad's, I bring coffee. I'm like, well, now I have him. It's like it's so funny. It's like. And it's true, because once they do that, they're like, oh, wow. I'm like, yeah, I told you. It makes a difference.
Yeah, it's night and day.
So,
I know that you're very busy, and I know you have other things to do, so I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show. And again, if anybody wants to find CigarVixen, it's CigarVixen.com, correct?
Yes, it is.
And,
yeah, on social media, CigarVixen as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody knows where you are on social media already. But
thank you.
Just want to say thank you again for so much for taking the time to come on. It's a real honor to have you on the show, and we look forward to having you back sometime in the future. And is there anything else that you have coming up? I mean, I didn't know you did coffee. Do you have any other entrepreneurial activities going on in the future?
Not as of now, but that doesn't mean that there won't be something, God willing. We'll see. But no, for now, I'm good with the cigars and the coffee. And I know that you're also a McAuliffe fan, so when you get that Guatemalan, coffee in there, definitely pair it with that Matafina, Grande Bold. It's a great morning.
I will do that.
Yes.
I'll tell you what's funny
that's my go-to morning one.
my go-to cigar, and all my listeners know this, is the Medallia by McAuliffe. Have you had that one?
Oh yeah.
That
it's
cigar.
The newer size or the original.
No, I go with the newer size, which is the Corona Extra 6x46. That cigar is perfect.
Isn't that special? I love that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Leyenda. The Leyenda is and that cigar, I try not to smoke it too often because it's one of those, up there with the Padrones where it's like I don't smoke them very often on purpose because I want to keep them special, but I love the Leyenda. But for the everyday, the Grande Gold line is like, man, the Montefina, I'm telling you, you're going to mark my words with that when you pair it with the Guatemalan. It's so good.
Well, what's funny is my favorite two cigars on the Grande Bold line is the Montefina and the Sumatra. And that's probably
mine
because
too.
I love them with coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man after my heart. I can't agree more.
Yeah, great pairing. In fact, I interviewed Al McAuliffe just earlier this week, and he said to tell you hello.
Oh, how's he doing?
Oh, he's doing fantastic. He's just like, when you're in the same room with him, you have a smile on your face. He's just that kind of guy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's such a class act. I mean, he's just a sweetheart. I love that guy. He's wonderful. Their whole team is fantastic.
They do have a great
Al is
team.
very special.
Yeah, and actually,
they really do.
I don't know if you know Dan Thompson very well.
I do, yes.
Okay, well, we had Al McAuliffe, Dan Thompson, Amanda McAuliffe, and Sam. We had a great show. It was basically a McAuliffe extravaganza, and we talked about what they're doing as far as trying to help the boutique cigar industry with Pred X. And so we're big fans of that whole team. And as we always say, It starts at the top with Al McAuliffe, and it just filters all the way down.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, they're really a great group of people, and again, I've been blessed. They're very generous with their time with me, and they're just, I consider them, very close friends, and they're really good people.
Yeah,
so
they really
I'm
are.
glad to hear that. I'll have to listen in for that show. I'd like to hear that. That's really nice.
Yeah, we just released that one. That was episode 56. The episode that you're on is 57. And the other thing I have to ask you is, do you have an ambassador coin?
Oh, of course. I have. I'm an advocate for their ambassador program. I have the link on my Instagram for people to sign up as well. It's
awesome.
Great. It's talk about pioneers. I mean, they really stepped outside the box with that program, and they're just. They're constantly. I always tell them this, but it's like for being a newer company, not the history. The history of their cigars has been there for quite some time, but as a company, they're somewhat new, and it's like, man, they just hit the ground running, and I couldn't be happier to see like their success. But that the ambassador program is just such a great
amazing.
idea.
Yes.
Yeah, and such a good way to just get other smokers to just hang out and kind of virtually hang out and have the little the group on Facebook, and you can just get on there and chit chat with other people that you're probably smoking the similar cigars or the same cigar most likely.
I've actually made a lot of friends through that Facebook group, and so I'm very appreciative of everything that they do. So
absolutely.
Well, hey, thank you so much again for coming on, and we wish you much success. Have a Merry Christmas and a great New Year, and we look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank Thank you so much again for having me on, and Merry Christmas to you all as well. Thank you. Keep up the great work.
I appreciate it. You have a great week.
Thank you. You as well.
All right, bye-bye. Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the interview with CigarVixen. We're just very thankful for her to come by and be on our anniversary episode. She's a class act,
Yes.
and she has really led the way, pioneered for women in the industry of cigars.
Most definitely. Her ability and her knowledge is unmatched.
And, you know, through the years, she's really educated herself, and, you know, just much respect for her.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
So anyway, let's get to this week's giveaway.
Yes, sir.
And if you're not already registered with Cigar Talk, go by our website, which is cigartalkpodcast.com. And all you got to do is put your name in, hit your email address in, boom, that's all you got to do. And we give something away every week, even if it's just advice. Just kidding, just kidding. We don't give away advice. We charge for that. No.
Yeah.
So, no, but this week we're giving away a Boveda Butler.
Yes, sir. A
And
Boveda Butler.
you know I'm huge on that product.
Most definitely.
You put it in your humidor, you sync it with your phone, and you always know how your humidor is performing. And I'll tell you what I really like about it is it will send me an alarm if it's too low or too high. And it doesn't just say what the humidity is, it also tells you what the temperature is.
Yes, sir.
And that's a very important part of the whole maintaining quality cigars. And, you know, if you're putting 5 sticks or 50 sticks, you want to keep them humidified in the right temperature because it's an investment.
I was just getting ready to say that.
It's not
It's an
cheap to
investment.
smoke cigars.
It's an investment, and you don't want to waste your investment. You want to take care of it. And like you said, quality smokes deserve attention, and this gives you the quality of attention that you need to make sure that your sticks last, that they are good when you get them out, and that you have an enjoyable experience with what you have.
Absolutely. So anyway, this week's winner is Omari Smith.
Hey, Amari, got you a Boveda Butler.
I'm going to send you an email to let you know you won, and you'll need to send me your address, and we'll get that shipped out. Due to the holidays, I'll try to, as long as you get your email address to me, your mailing address to me pretty quickly, I'll try to get it out before the holiday. If not, it'll be coming after the holiday. So anyway, let's talk for a minute about Cigar Talk.
100%.
We've been doing this show now for 1 year.
Yes, sir.
And it's been a heck of a journey.
Yes.
We've met a lot of incredible people. We've had a lot of great guests on the show. You know, coming to mind, you know, we talked about Brent and Camilla.
Yes, sir.
We had Jake on the show,
Yes, sir.
which is not your everyday cigar smoker, but one heck of a guy. Mike Rosales.
Yes, that was a great interview.
That was a great interview.
That was a great one.
And then we also had the guys, I believe it was John and Scott from Warfighters.
Warfighters, yeah.
Yeah, we had those guys on. Blanco. We had David on. And then don't forget we had Coach Brigglin on.
I was just getting ready to say, those Clemson rings.
It's a three-time or two-time?
Wait, no, two-time.
Two-time
Three-time
champion.
ACC champion.
Right.
Yeah.
And, we had last week Al McAuliffe on. This week we've got CigarVixen.
Yes.
We've got to really have a great time meeting so many great people. So if
talking to Hiram and Solomon's GM, and it's just the people we've met because of this show this year has been enormous.
Yeah, and we talked to Glenn Luke from Cigar Rights of America. We talked to Storm Bowen from Cigars for Warriors. We talked to David from Hiram and Solomon. These guys are the guys who run the industry.
And the information, the wisdom, the knowledge, everything that they passed on through Cigar Talk was a blessing. It was a true blessing because a year ago, we didn't see this. We was just sitting in there in the shed arguing about Madden.
Well, we weren't arguing. You were getting your feelings hurt because I spanked it.
No, bruh.
You know what I'm saying. You remember.
Bruh. No, bruh.
You remember how you used to go home like in tears?
Never in tears. Only thing I got mad about was the glitch.
I know you were crying once you got in your vehicle.
No, this ain't Friday.
Maybe it's Friday after next. So anyway, hey, so you know what I want to talk about also? First of all, we want to say thank you to the Patreon.
Yes, sir.
Patreons have made a huge difference in the show. They've allowed us to upgrade our equipment, and right now we are working on new equipment which will allow us to do high quality video. So we'll be stepping into that realm as we upgrade some other equipment. But we've also started doing something that's just for the Patreons.
Yes, sir.
And that's called the after show.
After show.
So basically, let me tell you how that works. Basically, we smoke a cigar while we do the first show.
Mm-hmm.
Then afterwards, we decompress from the show and we record it and we just talk BS.
Yes.
Like if we're hanging out in the back room at the lounge.
It is the true essence of me and Rob in the shed.
Yeah, you might not want to know us that well.
True.
But we talk about sports, we talk about politics,
Everything.
we talk about whatever. And,
Everything.
you know, the things that like really get stuck in my craw, we don't talk about that on Cigar Talk.
No.
But we do talk about that on the after
Afterwards,
show.
yeah.
So if you want to know what gets me hot, what gets me excited, what, you know, makes me happy, what pisses me off, the after shows where you find that information.
Tell the truth. Tell
and
the
that's
truth.
for the Patreons of the Toro level and, the Robusto.
Robusto, yeah.
So if you're a member of the Robusto or the Toro, you get access to the after show.
Yes, sir.
And so we just want to say thank you to all those guys that take care of us. It's been just humbling experience. And so thank you. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about that wasn't planned on the show was, have you seen the movie The Irishman yet?
Not yet.
Dude, how could you not see that show yet?
Work.
Man. Well, you know what? You've got to put that on your schedule because let me tell you something. That is the best cigar movie. In fact, you know what you need to do?
What's that?
You need to come over here and watch it so that you can smoke while you watch it.
While I'm watching it.
Dude,
Okay.
because that just makes the movie. When you see these gangsters, mafia guys smoking cigars and you're smoking a cigar, boom, lights out.
That's aura of cigars anyway.
Yes.
That underworld.
Well,
people.
You say that though, but back
It's
in
not
the
bad.
40s and 50s and even the 60s, lots of guys smoke cigars.
yes.
You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like the boom is reoccurring now, but that's what all those guys smoked was cigars.
Everybody. And they had, as we do, great quality cigars. They didn't have as many boutiques as we have now.
Oh, well, yeah, they didn't have boutiques
Mm-mm,
because they were all coming out
Yeah,
of Cuba.
Yeah. Whew.
But anyway, I hope that you guys, if you haven't heard some of our older episodes, go back and listen because we really talk to a lot of great people in the cigar industry, and you're not going to want to miss some of those interviews. And we've got some really good interviews coming up over the next few weeks. We just appreciate that you would tune in and hear the show. That's what we do it for.
It's about the fans. It's about getting information out to the community. And you said today, since you started Cigar Talk, we haven't played Madden not once.
Right, not once.
Not once.
You know, I want to say probably one time in the summer,
Uh-huh.
I cranked up the PlayStation and I played an old game, Tiger Woods Golf.
Okay.
Because it's a one-player game.
Yeah.
And so I played that probably for about 3 days. I don't know what was going on, but I was just like, you know what? I haven't played games in forever, so I played some golf. But what's cool is it's a slow game, and I can smoke cigars.
Most definitely.
You know, when we played football,
Not happening.
you're not smoking a cigar.
Not happening.
So anyway, well, hey guys, that's going to wrap it up for our anniversary episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we're probably fixing to pour some drinks, and then we'll start up with the after show. So until next week,
Keep smoking.